And you can stop leaving these around. I'm not going to read them.
What are you talking about?
This holiday literature.
Why not? We could do with a break. A break could do us good.
Well, I thought you were going to Spain with your friends.
Well, we were, but after making a few inquiries, we found that a certain cake-throwing incident in Torremolinos is still being held against us.
Well, couldn't you go somewhere else?
It's a bit late now with the bank holiday coming on. All the cheap flights have gone. Same with the hotels. You can only get 4-star and...
And then you thought of me.
Yeah. And Malta.
Malta. Too rocky.
Corsica.
Bandits.
France.
Too expensive.
Italy.
Pasta.
Tunisia.
Too hot.
There must be somewhere you like. What about Greece? Enjoy traditional dishes at a roadside taverna accompanied by the rich red wine that Homer once drank.
You know what that means. Half-cooked goat covered in a fine dust and washed down with metal polish. What I want to know is what is wrong with Britain. I mean, what about the New Forest? The Pennine Way? The lakes? The Highlands? They're breathtaking, Matthew.
What do you know? You've never been.
Well, precisely. There's plenty of sights we haven't seen here. We don't need to go abroad.
Dad, I've got nothing against here, except the weather. And Michael Fisher's predicted this is going to be the worst bank holiday on record.
Well, what does he know about it? Didn't predict the great wind, did he? He said there's nothing to worry about. Next thing we knew, all the tires were blowing off.
Dad, do you know what makes a holiday? I'll tell you what makes a holiday. The sun. And we've not seen much of that this August.
Well, I don't know about that. You always get a few hours in Clagthorpe.
Clagthorpe?
And what's wrong with Clagthorpe?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it. It's north of Iceland, that's what's wrong with it.
It's a few miles up the coast, Matthew. Don't exaggerate.
I knew we'd get round to Clagthorpe. Why do we always end up at Clagthorpe?
Matthew, I haven't been to Clagthorpe in over 10 years.
You haven't been anywhere in over 10 years. It's time we had a decent holiday.
I'm talking about a decent holiday. You remember the Buena Vista guest house and the kindly Mrs. Blackett? The times we had there.
They were the most miserable days of my life.
Of course they weren't. Nothing was too much trouble for Mrs. B. Children welcomed. Those wonderful packed lunches and homemade pies. Those long days on the beach, exploring golden sands as far as the Crumbles. Then back to the pier for a bag of Clagthorpe knobs. And finally, homeward. Tired but happy.
Dad, I don't want to eat Clagthorpe knobs. I want to sit amongst the olive groves and eat moussaka to the sound of the bouzouki.
Well, if you want music, they always had a good accordionist at the Ship Inn. And they serve the best cod south of Grimsby.
I don't want to eat cod either. I want life and excitement.
Well, Clagthorpe has always teemed with life and excitement.
We may have done 20 years ago, but not now. It'll be deserted. Everyone goes abroad these days.
You know what that means. We might just get in.
What?
I think I'll ring Mrs. Blackett. It's an incredible long shot, and she's sure to say no.
Not with my luck.
I thought so. You've become a travel snob, haven't you?
No, I haven't, but you don't understand. I'm pining for the deep south, Dad. For the sight of bougainvillea and the scent of sweet honeysuckle.
Never mind. They've got a palm tree in the back garden. You can sit under that.
Oh, hello.
Hello?
I'm Ted.
Ted?
This is my wife, Rita, daughter, Tina.
Rita, Tina, I'm Henry, this is Matthew.
Hi. You here for bank holiday?
Yes.
The weather's been terrible.
And there's worse to come. I've just seen a forecast.
Storm cones hoisted all the way from Flamborough Head.
Black billows and inverted triangles for our region. I think there's something brewing in the Baltic.
Hurricane winds predicted.
Sounds terrible.
Oh, don't worry, it'll blow itself out.
I hope so. The waves swept a dog off the seafront last night.
They're getting spray as far back as the railway station.
And I found driftwood on the steps this morning.
I knew we shouldn't have come.
We came for her.
She's had a bad experience.
Any discos round here, Tina?
She won't answer you.
She's gone into her shell.
And this place ain't doing her any good. Have you met her yet? Mrs. Blackett?
No, but we're old friends.
I didn't know she had any.
Keep your voice down. supposed to be in here, not at this time of day. She doesn't like it.
You can't go out in this lot.
She says it's only a shower. Did you want a bath?
Well, yes.
Well, get one in before the rush or you'll go dirty.
Are there many here?
Yeah, more than you'd think. You don't see them during the day, they're all on the slot machines. Nothing else to do. Fishing's out too rough.
Took them all morning to launch the lifeboat.
Well, I wouldn't worry. There's always something to do in Clagthorpe.
Is there?
Yes, it's bank holiday. Yes, there'll be nurdling on the pier tomorrow.
Nurdling?
What's that?
Well, I'm not sure of the rules, but they use a mop and a bucket. It's great fun. And have you had your Clagthorpe knobs yet?
Yes. They tasted like bits of dry bread.
No, they're a delicacy.
Oh, we couldn't finish them.
Neither could the seagulls.
Rather an acquired taste. I'll get you some good ones, and I'll take you down the ship later, introduce you to the landlord. Yes, I've been coming here for years.
Have you?
We usually go to Majorca.
Yeah, that's been the trouble, you see. Spanish waiter.
Followed her home.
Broke her heart.
Ah, Mr. Willows.
Hello, Mrs. Blackett.
I was looking for you in reception.
Yes, we sort of drifted through here.
Well, I hope we're not going to clutter this room up too much during the day.
It is raining, Mrs. Blackett.
I wouldn't worry about that. Michael Fisher's predicted bright periods.
Don't see any.
Well, you won't find any bright periods in here, Mr. Higgs.
That's true.
You didn't pay a deposit, did you, Mr.
Willows. Henry Willows.
And you booked for 3 nights?
Yes.
Well, on a 3-nightly basis, it is cash in advance, and all cheques must be accompanied by a banker's card.
Don't you remember me?
Of course I remember you. You rang on Thursday. Now, a few simple rules. There is no smoking in the bedrooms. This is for safety and also for health. Should any guests object to secondary smoking, they may appeal to me. No solid objects down the toilets. And no baths between 5 and 7 p.m., during which time the plug will be removed and no substitutes will be permitted. I found a wet sock in the plug hole last night, Mr. Hicks.
Yes, well, we'd better get off. Thought we'd go and inspect the storm damage.
Not an ideal guest, I'm afraid. Caused a great deal of trouble over the cruet.
Mrs. Blackett.
I expect all lights to be out by 11:30. I prefer this to be voluntary. I don't wish to resort to the fuse box. And I don't allow any visitors after this time. And no food is to be consumed in the rooms. That includes chewing gum. No fixtures and fittings to be removed, and I include light bulbs and coat hangers under this heading. Keys will be issued on request. Not that you've any great reason to be out late. The pier closes at 10:30, and I'm usually prowling around until 5. TV is administered by me. Any arguments over programmes, I am the final arbiter, and I don't like East Enders.
Yes, well, we never worried about TV in the old days, Violet.
Why?
Yes, don't you remember? Summer of 76. Henry Willows and little Matthew.
Little Matthew?
And his tin spade. Carried it everywhere. Surely you remember.
I think I remember the tin spade. I'm not sure about little Matthew.
I was smaller then.
Yes. Well, I'm afraid I find it rather difficult to recall those halcyon days at the moment, Mr. Willows. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Oh, I still have very fond memories of the place.
It's over 10 years ago, Mr. Willows. Where have you been since? Ibiza, Mallorca, Lanzarote, Gran Canaria?
No, actually, I haven't been away much the last few years. You see, the family split up. My wife and I were divorced.
Yes, I seem to remember you now. And your wife. She was a very pleasant woman. Admirably with 3 small children.
Yes. And how's Albert?
Albert?
Your husband? Is he still cooking the meals?
No. He left me in 81, the year of the tidal wave.
I'm sorry. Well, we better get unpacked. I must say, it's very nice seeing you again, Violet.
And you, Mr. Willows. I did say cash in advance.
Well, the end of a perfect day. How's your head?
Still aches.
You have a nasty bruise.
Yes.
What a night. And you said the ship hadn't changed.
We hadn't. Not that much. I remembered the horse brasses.
Pity you didn't remember the low beam. What about genial Jack, our convivial landlord? He was a right misery.
He didn't remember me.
He wouldn't serve you.
He was busy.
Yeah, busy talking. What about Violet, nothing's too much trouble, Blackett? He's turned into a real sour-faced wazzock. See? It's got you doing it now. Wonderful cook, homemade pies. There's all frozen food, and some of that hadn't thawed out. And honestly, Beth, one cruet and a bottle of tomato sauce between 20 people. It was chaos.
Yes, I'm afraid the years haven't been kind to Mrs. Blackett. She's become embittered.
No wonder her husband went off with the tidal wave. Probably preferred it. Can't we eat out tomorrow?
Well, we could go to the lobster pot, I suppose.
The lobster pot?
Yes, very authentic. Yes, the dining room's draped with fishing nets and floats. And the food's good.
Perhaps we could take Ted and Rita. And Tina.
Tina, I want you to keep away from her.
Why?
She's had one nasty experience. She doesn't want another.
We don't want her to become frightened of men, do we?
That's what I mean.